Welcome to our first Sunday morning virtual service for all of you. I cannot tell you how strange this is for me to be here while you are not. There are only two of us in this room, myself and Sean McClurkin, who is providing today's tech support. Thank you, Sean. It is also so strange to think that the Fellowship's auction fundraiser happened only 3 weeks ago. How can so much have changed so rapidly in such a short period of time? I invite you to put all that is happening in the outside world aside now. Well, that is not possible. We can't set it aside. It is too big. But we can perhaps put it in a parking space in our minds for the next few minutes. It will still be there when this time we have together ends. So welcome. I'm so glad that you have tuned in, and it is so important that we maintain our ties with each other during these strange times in which we find ourselves. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith. A faith built on the foundations of freedom, reason, and welcome. A faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice. A faith that envisions a world flourishing with equality for all people. A faith that demands the living out of goodness. A faith that requires thoughtfulness, a faith of wholeness. This tiny flame, this light, is the symbol of the spark of all that I just said within each of us. I would like to share these opening words with you. They were written by Unitarian Universalist Minister Manish K. Mishra Marzetti. The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake, reminding us that the solidity we often love and seek is an illusion. The crumbling dust of the desert plains, the moist fertility of farmlands, the eroding coastline of tidal shores, all are changing. Committees dissolve or are created. Leaders retire or step away. Ministers come and go. Bylaws are amended. New experiences lead to new truths which foster evolution. the natural course of life, always pushing us toward greater understandings of what it means to be human. Everything about our existence points toward change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. And it's hard. It's hard because change involves loss. Can we hold the losses well while not holding ourselves back? The ground shifts, sometimes slowly, sometimes like an earthquake. Nothing is static. I invite you now to join with me in the affirmation that you say every Sunday. And some of you will know this by heart. So here we go. The doctrine of this church is love. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Good morning, San Gabriel. It's wonderful to see you all this way, even though we can't be in person together at church. Our Wonderbox moment this morning is about how we can stay connected to one another, even when we can't be in the same room. So, let's see, this Wonderbox. This is my at-home Wonderbox. We use with our wondering minds, love to help each other learn and grow. So I'm curious about what might be in this Wonderbox today. Do you have some guesses? I'm going to shake it. No sound. What does that tell you? It's probably soft, maybe. It's not hard. It doesn't rattle. It might be light. Tell the people you're with what you think might be in the Wonderbox. Have you made your guesses? All right, let's open it up and see. I've got a ball of string, a ball of yarn in the Wonderbox today. What could that have to do with staying connected to one another? String can tie things together, right? Let's see what our story is about today. It's called The Invisible String by Patrice Karst, illustrated by Joanne Lou Vriethoff. Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly, it began to rain very hard. Thunder rumbled so loud that it woke them up. They ran to their mom because they were a bit scared. Their mom reassured them, "Don't worry, you two. It's just the storm making noise. You are going to be okay, safe and sound in your beds." "But we're scared," said Jeremy. "We want to stay with you." And Mom said, "I know you're scared, but even when you go back to bed, we're always together, no matter what." "But how can we be together when you're out here and we're back in bed?" Liza asked. Mom held something right in front of them and said, "This is how." Rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. "I was about your age when my mom first told me about the invisible string." "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. "You don't have to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love." "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I can feel it tug on my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it on our hearts," said Jeremy. "Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string?" asked Liza. "She sure does," said Mom. "And best friends like me and Lucy?" "Best friends for sure." How far can the string reach? Anywhere and everywhere, said Mom. Would it reach me if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean? Asked Jeremy. Yes, said Mom. It would reach you even there. Or a mountain climber? Even there. A dancer in France? Even there. A jungle explorer? Even there. How about an astronaut out in space? Yes, even there. Then Jeremy quietly asked, what about Uncle Brian, who died? Can it reach him? Yes, said Mom. Our love and memories of Uncle Brian keep him close. Does a string go away when you're mad at us? Never, said Mom. Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there. Even when you get older and can't agree about things like what movie to see or what game to play in the back seat or what time to go to bed. Oh, that's right. You two are supposed to be in bed. And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. Within a few minutes, they were sound asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noises outside. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, all of the strings their friends have, and their friends have, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. And from deep inside, they could clearly see no one is ever alone. I love that story, and I hope you all feel the strings that I have in my heart that go out to you. We'll talk a little more about this in our RE time today. We're going to have Joys and Concerns with Reverend Sandy at 11 o'clock. Check your link in your email for that. And I hope to see kids at their own RE time at 2 p.m. And parents have received a link for that as well. Stay in good cheer and in good health, and I will see you again soon.
We are going to have a moment of meditation now, but it will not be silent. I will have some words to go along with it. It's short, but I want you to have an opportunity to kind of gather yourselves, take deep breaths, be as calm as you can be. These words were written by Anthony Johnson. We have heard the words of the people. So take a deep breath. Let us join in the spirit of prayer and meditation. We have heard over the months and in this space the words of the people who have placed their joys and sorrows before this community and before the holy. The words spoken are words of love and trust, love for those whose names have been spoken, and love for those who hear. Trust in the acceptance of this community, and trust in the continuity of life. When there is birth, life goes on. When there is death, life goes on. When there is joy, life goes on. When there is sorrow, life goes on. May we always live in trust and in love, that all joy might be shared and all sorrow comforted. This is our prayer. Amen. And blessed be. The reading I want to share with you was written by Unitarian Universalist minister David Blanchard. He titled it Lifeline. Beginnings and endings always seem to capture our imagination and attention. Beginnings and endings hold some secrets that we are forever wanting to reveal. Beginnings and endings give a degree of definition to our lives. And when we encounter reminders of these bookends of life, we can't help but remember something of our own beginnings and wonder about our own endings. Beginnings and endings have a magic and a mystery that cause us to stop and listen. When we are in the presence of such moments of transformation, when we publicly and collectively welcome a baby to the world or grieve a death, when we privately mark the parting with a friend or the rebirth of someone's spirit, we feel ourselves drawn into a profound and compelling encounter with the most vital and real dimensions of life. Whenever we witness something of a birth or a death, a part of us knows we too share in that moment. In it, a part of us may die a little. In it, a part of us could be born again. Once upon a time, someone held us when we were born. And someday, someone somewhere will mourn us and miss us. And in between those times, we move through the seasons of life and step back and forth through memory and imagination from what was our beginning to what will be our end. I have titled these reflections, since you don't have an order of service, In Sickness and in Health. These words are mostly used as part of wedding vows. However, they are equally applicable to vows that people who are part of a faith community make with each other. In that context, though, we don't call them vows usually. We call them part of our covenant with each other. The reading that I chose for this morning is meant more as a metaphor than to be taken literally. Blanchard writes, beginnings and endings always seem to capture our imagination and attention. Beginnings and endings hold some secrets that we are forever wanting to reveal. What his words said to me, though, in these times, is that it seems as if we are experiencing hundreds of little deaths every day. Hundreds of beginnings and endings, and we know they must hold secrets, and we want those secrets revealed. What do you mean the library is closed? For me, that is a death of expectations of what I might experience during an average day. What do you mean that I can't go see that movie I might have been wanting to see? You may think these are frivolous examples of small deaths that are happening every day, and they are, yes, to a certain extent, but it's the restrictions that keep us from doing these things. These restrictions now upon us are far from trivial and frivolous. There are many serious examples of different beginnings and different endings assaulting us daily. We can't gather in community is the most serious one because we are not meant to be isolated beings. I believe that there will be resurrections and that life will become normal again, though we have no idea what new normals might await us down the road. But for right now, It feels as if there are only 1,000 little deaths. 1,000 little deaths occurring, destroying life as we know it, life as we knew it. Thinking about what I could possibly say to you in this video made me more than a little anxious, woke me up more than once in the middle of the night. Words are inadequate and or trite. I have been staring at the proverbial blank page and screen for days. Barbara Rhodey, a lay leader in one of our Unitarian Universalist congregations, wrote this in the preface to her collection of meditations titled In the Simple Morning Light. Barbara says, I am a writer, not a minister, but I think our callings have much in common. We try to witness to what we see. We are always saying, here, let me lend you my eyes. When Emerson suggests that true preachers deal out to people their lives, life passed through the fire of thought, I think he is speaking to writers as well. Both preachers and writers have a stubborn faith that in reflecting on our lives, chaotic as they are, we may find meaning. We have the audacious belief that if we can only get the right words in the right order, we can share that meaning, bridge the vast chasms that separate one human being from another. We might even help us heal what Thomas Merton calls this body of broken bones. In our better moments, we have the wisdom to laugh at our own audacity, but not to abandon it. So, if I could only get the right words in the right order, I could lessen your fears and your anxieties. I could reassure you that this will end eventually, that everything will be all right, that we will get through this together. And I do believe the nightmare will end, and we will get through this together. But I can't say how or when. But you know that. No one can do that right now. In the meantime, my heart is breaking. My heart, at the same time, is expanding. My heart, my prayers, my thoughts go out every day, sometimes every hour, to so many segments of our human population. Of course, to the people who have already been infected, who are struggling through the physical symptoms of the coronavirus at this very moment, to the families of those who have died from it. In addition, my heart goes out to restaurant and service and hospitality workers who live from paycheck to paycheck. My heart goes out to all those many people connected to the sports industries. I mean the hot dog vendors, the concession stand workers, the ushers, the little people who made it all happen in so-called normal times. My heart goes out to the homeless, to all those who have no safety nets. My heart goes out to people like my dear friend Fran and her daughter Jen, and all those whose loved ones were in critical care units because of illnesses or accidents unrelated to the virus, but who are now stuck in hospitals and rehab centers. I get up every morning and then I just stand there wondering what it is that I am supposed to be doing this day. I feel as if I am moving through molasses. Everything is foggy. Daily activities and habits seem strange to me, unimportant. For a few minutes, I ricochet between despair and thankfulness because I got up. And I feel okay for now. I bounce back and forth between these emotions. I wander around aimlessly in my apartment until until I remember that I have lifelines. Here are some of them. My belief in the innate goodness and caring of most people. I still believe this, despite what we have heard about hoarding. In the laundromat the other day, I heard that the ammunition shelves are empty at that place called the Academy. This alarmed me way more than the fact that the toilet paper shelves are equally empty in grocery stores. But I have an opposite tale to tell about a grocery store, about the man I will call the milkman in Randall's a few days ago. I was standing beside a woman about my height, and we were both looking for milk, and of course there was no milk that we could readily see, but I stepped back, and way in the back of one of the shelves, there were 2 half-gallons of organic, 2% milk. Okay, we'll take that. She got very excited because she was shopping for her parents. But we couldn't reach those quarts, or those half-gallons. But there was a man behind us, not much taller than we were, and he said, I will get them for you. But to do that, he had to climb up, literally, on the shelves, so that he was sort of halfway in to the shelf on the top. Sort of like Winnie the Pooh in that story where he tries to get honey and he gets stuck halfway in the hole. And the man got them, slowly backed up, and for a brief moment I thought he's going to take that milk and run. But he did no such thing. He handed them both to me. I handed one to the woman beside me. There you go. Another thing I remember, know about now, the perfume manufacturers in France, and I think this country as well, who are switching from producing perfume to making hand sanitizers. Another lifeline was the day I learned about the people in Italy singing from their balconies. A lifeline of mine can be as simple as a good cup of coffee or a great piece of chocolate. And certainly talking to family and dear friends. And even today happens to be Friday, a rainy day complete with thunder and even a little lightning. What are your lifelines? I wander around aimlessly until I get to the point in my crazy thoughts, in my monkey mind, through my fears, when I finally remember that there is still a capital B, bigger picture, capital P, out there. I know that the bigger picture can seem irrelevant at the moment. I fear that thinking about the greater good of this faith community might also seem unimportant to you at this moment. Trust me, this fellowship is more important than ever at this moment in time. So I have homework for you. Deep down in, I don't believe that words are irrelevant. So here is your homework. It's simply words that I want you to ponder over, think about, write about, sing about, pay attention to during this difficult time. Covenant, compassion, commitment, continuity. What do those words mean to you in the context of this community, San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship? Over the next few weeks, we will be exploring these words within the framework of this faith community. Other words, of course, will enter into these discussions and conversations, words such as trust, forgiveness, community, mercy, right relationship, and, Sean may laugh out loud at this one, if and when your technologically challenged minister can master the necessary technology, we will have some of our discussions and conversations online, maybe even in small groups. Here are the homework words again, and they will also be in my column in the newsletter this coming week. Covenant, compassion, commitment, continuity. In the meantime, let me throw out some possible lifelines to you. The poppies in this town. I had no idea. I'll take them over the bluebonnets. I walk almost every day, and the poppies are playing a big role in maintaining my sanity. How about this for a lifeline? Thoughts on living with anxiety. In last Sunday's New York Times, there was an article titled, How to Be Calm About Anxiety. How to Be Calm About Anxiety, written by Laura Turner. Some of you may have read it. It has some of the best advice about living with anxiety that I've ever come across. A therapist told Laura Turner to stop trying to avoid or repress anxious feelings. Instead, invite them and sit with them. Now, I personally know this from my own Buddhist training and education, but I often forget what I know, especially the good things that I know. We should accept our anxiousness, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. Laura Turner decided to name her anxiety. She calls it Susan, and she occasionally invites it to stay for tea when it appears. So I invite you also to name your anxiety. Turner reminds us that before the coronavirus became part of our lives, there were millions of adults living with anxiety in America. And why shouldn't there be, she asks, given the times that we live in? There is plenty to be anxious about. Quoting Turner, so we have two choices. We can fight the anxiety, getting caught up in a cycle of trying to answer our fearful thoughts with a rationality we may never be able to truly attain. Or, and this is the Buddhist way, we can simply accept our anxiety as a fact of life. No more good or bad than the weather. Acceptance does not mean that we shouldn't or will be worry-free. Acceptance means that we don't let anxiety be the solution to our problems. To get through this pandemic, we need to be as calm as we can be. Again, that does not mean that we will suddenly be worry-free or free of fear. It means that we use our energy to focus on what is truly important in our lives. It also means, to me, that we will continue to do this when we are again able to focus on climate change, racism, immigration, healthcare for all. You remember those? All of the usual problems that maybe, just maybe, might seem more solvable and manageable to us after we have survived this very scary time that has put every single human being in the world in harm's way. And what might we learn from that fact? The possibilities are endless. Talk about making the interdependent web real and tangible. So I give you as a possible lifeline the care and feeding and direction of our anxiousness. Anxiety is irrational and not particularly useful. I hope that we might try to take that energy that we use to feed our anxiousness and put it to work elsewhere. Another possible lifeline for you. What happened on Friday, the 19th of March, the first day of spring? I want to comfort you. I want to hug each and every one of you. I want to put my arm around your shoulders, and I want to tell you that everything will be all right. So here I am, virtually doing so, hugging you, putting my arm around your shoulders. We will get to the other end of the tunnel. When we do, I think we will probably have learned a lot. The human spirit is still there within each one of us. And I'm equally certain that this congregation has the capability, the resilience, the resources to come out on the other side of this crisis bigger, stronger, more relevant than ever, if you are willing to do the hard work of being truly in covenant with each other. Our time is finished, but the work is not done. May our spirits be renewed and our resolve strengthened as we meet the challenges of the week to come. This chalice light is extinguished until we ignite it again with the spark of our communion. The closing words are by Maureen Killoran. As we weather winds of change, may we have wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we recollect times of challenge and of pain, may we remember also the graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. May it be so. Amen.